Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I'm Adriana Monique Alvarez, the founder of Alma Publishing, and we are continuing our conversations with the contributors of Awakening, and I'm so excited to have Kayleigh with us here today. Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, good morning. I'm doing so well, and I'm really excited to be here.
Nice. Oh my goodness, let's hope my voice hangs on you.
Where's that cat?
Exactly, right? So tell me where you're joining from.
I am joining from, let's see, it is very sunny, Fort Lauderdale, Florida today. So I'm definitely hoping to get on my bike and head to the beach later. It looks really nice out.
That sounds like a good idea. I've already been telling the boys, do you guys want to go to the river or you want to go to the lake today? So it's a good day for water.
I'm a Cancerian, so like when I'm in the water, I'm lit up and re-energized.
Yes, it's your happy place.
It is.
So would you share with us what you wrote about in your chapter?
Yeah, I wrote my story about how I was a, high achieving corporate executive, really at the pinnacle of my career, building out a customer success team at a really successful early stage startup company in San Francisco. And I closed this $4 million contract. We had no contracts in the company's history. I myself had never done anything like that. And it was a real highlight in my career. And when we closed the deal, my colleagues started playing. It's like the Lil Wayne song, "A Millie," like we're all so excited. And like, I remember walking home that night and just feeling so depleted, so depressed. Like it's not that I couldn't accept the achievement, but I felt this sense of what does it all mean and what's next? And, that was my little awakening moment of, is this really where I'm meant to be? Like something that should feel so good didn't. And, I instinctively Googled women's retreat Hawaii. I mean, I have no idea why. And a week later, I found myself on a retreat called Feminine Mastery that really cracked me open. I felt for the first time this shift from head, like intellectual think, back into body, which is something I had never experienced. And I started to tap into my intuition, and I realized I didn't want to operate in the corporate environment. And I started writing. And by writing, I started to receive all of this wisdom, all of these new ideas. And I started to receive this concept of soul excellence, which it just hit me one day. And it came through, and I realized, like, this is what I want to talk about. This is what I want to devote my time, my energy, what I do best to right now. And so the story is about how I took that leap, how I started believing in myself, and that I wasn't just a vessel for the institutions that I belonged to, the universities that I represented, the companies that I worked for, that I really was a lot more than that, and had so much to give by being truly me and by sharing soul excellence, which is this concept of achieving an alignment with what you deeply desire. And so the chapter is about that, and about the soul excellence leadership archetypes, because I really believe that we are meant to serve. When we have so much talent, how do we want to use it? So yeah, I shared my story.
I love that. And tell me a little bit about these archetypes. What does this look like? How does this show up?
Yeah. So, so many of you are familiar with the concept of archetypes. And for me, it's really about different perspectives and honoring the different parts of us that allow us to achieve amazing results in the world. So I'm not talking about like tap into these to just like get through your day to day. No, they're about tap into these to achieve something even more expansive than what you thought was possible. And there's 4: the integrator, initiator, inspirer, and innovator. And each of them really taps into our desire to create in a different way. So the integrator, they're the people powerhouses among us, And they're the people powerhouse like within us who care about relationships. And I think as a leader, the power of the integrator is to be able to bring a group of people together who have different perspectives, different strengths, and really highlight those. You know, I see a lot of leaders who bring people together and want to like diminish and do it my way. But that's not what soul excellence leadership is about. I believe it's about helping individuals to embrace their individualism and align it towards something really special that a group cares about. So that's the power of the integrator. You know, it can be your lead archetype, like that's what you do naturally. It's not my lead archetype, so it's one that I need to actively tap into. But this is a relationship focused part of ourselves. The second archetype is my lead archetype, and that's the inspirer. And this is a person, and I didn't realize this, that this is a part of us that if we're not expressing, if we're withholding, if we're not speaking up, if we're not expressing, for me, it's writing and words. For other people, it's art. For other people, you know, it's out just being physical, whatever it is. Like if we're not doing that, we just wither and our leadership capability dies with it. And, you know, that piece, I can look back at the least successful moments in my career and see how I just was withholding. You know, I saw things happening in organizations and I didn't speak up. I didn't express, and I didn't just bring myself down. Like I brought everyone down. The third archetype is the initiator. And this is the like action part of us. And, you know, for many of the high achievers out there, like this is one we don't even recognize because it's what has allowed us to achieve, you know, and to get results. But the challenge for the initiator as a leadership archetype is it aligned towards something that I care about? And is it aligned toward something that's meaningful to me? Or am I taking action because I'm supposed to get the next degree, get the next promotion, do the next thing, and you're moving somewhat unquestioningly through. So I love the initiator, like, you know, I love to-do lists, you know, being productive, but the initiator too can sometimes need to like take a pause. And then the fourth archetype is the innovator. And this part of us is super cool because as I've had so many leaders take the Soul Excellence Leadership Quiz, I'm finding a couple things. I'm noticing that, you know, people whose careers have been about idea generation, so PhDs and scientists, some in management as well, like they're naturally like, this is what they care about. How do I challenge the status quo? But what I've also seen is that this innovator leadership archetype within us has really been awakened through the past 6 months, where we are all questioning, is this how I want my life to be? Do I want to do that 2-hour commute I was doing? Is this how I want to raise my family? Is this the city that I want to be in now that life might look a little bit differently? So the innovator is that transformation agent within us. And, you know, it's the one that, for me, I'm trying to pay a lot more attention to of how do I want to change? How do I want to transform? And when you can bring all of these together or know which situation you're in and call forth that archetype, that's where you start to feel the power of like, okay, there's so much more within me that I forgot about. And that's what I wanted to, I don't even say that's what I wanted to bring with the archetypes, because it wasn't really intentional. It was the first thing that I've ever created that it just came to me, which was a pretty unique experience, like in and of itself, you know, like I didn't set out to create them. They came to me and then resonated and why I wanted to share them.
I love that. And I can recognize myself in that, but you're so right. The last few months have been heavy on that last one. You know, I went through the same thing. Is this where I want to live? No, can't live this way anymore because it means my kids are trapped, right? Yep. A big one that really just kept pounding me like right between the eyes. I don't want to work like this. I just kept feeling, I don't want to be online. I don't want to be online anymore, right? I want to be like my uncle who like doesn't even know any of this stuff exists, right? I can't even text him. I gotta call him, you know?
Well, it's not easy even when we get these hits. You know, at the beginning of the year, I knew it was time to leave San Francisco after 7 years. I just felt it. I returned to South Florida, where I'm from, a place that I said I would never live, you know, and I'm just like soaking it up. I'm loving it so much. But there was a moment right at the start of coronavirus where, you know, I wasn't tapping into my archetypes. I did feel a bit scared and was like, ooh, let me jump back into corporate for a second. Like, it'll be easy. Like, why not? Let me just join another tech company. It's fairly easy for me to do. So I did. I joined a company out of Seattle, and I found myself instantly plugged into the 24/7 Slack messages, the Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting. The like big decisions being discussed at midnight over Slack. And I'm like, oh, okay, nope. I guess I needed another reminder. Like, nope, put that away. That's not where you're meant to be right now. But the journey, you know, for each, we get these moments, and then it can be scary, and we do retreat to these old patterns and habits, and what's comfortable, where we know we can succeed. And that's really, you know, my message for a lot of the high achievers that I work with is when they share a goal with me that's so, for them, easily attainable. I'm like, that's not big enough for you. Like, let's break it open. Let's get expansive. Like, we know you're going to get that next promotion. Like, these are all the things that you've done. So I'm kind of trying to be that force for these leaders to recognize that they can do more, which is really hard right now, where stepping out as a leader and having an opinion is dangerous.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you know, we talked about this a bit in our like pre-interview discussion, and I would love if we could dive into this, because I mean, I'm observing it in myself, I'm observing it in others, right? I'm observing leaders who I consider they've always been leaders. They've always used their voice. They have never backed down from, you know, big topics. And I see them doing a few different things, either completely ignoring, like they don't mention anything. They're not talking about anything related. It's just, they're just like saying the same marketing message that they had a year ago, right? So the total avoidance of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then I see the ones who they're getting worn down, right? They might have always been this like nonconformist, very true to their own voice, comfortable in their own skin, totally fine if they're one in a million. And I told you, I'm receiving voice messages from people who are like, these things very much go against my values. They go against what I believe to be healthy, but I'm doing it because I just can't handle another conflict. I cannot handle one more thing where I'm sticking my nose out, right? So how do we lead? How do we lead when, and this is a big one, right? Most people, their income or their spouse's income has been affected. What do we do when we see people who really speak strongly and they're losing their business, or they're having tons of clients leave? Like, how do we lead in these times when we have these fears, we have these concerns?
So I think it's a big question, and you know, one that I do feel starts with people remembering first and foremost that they are more than their social connections. They are more than their job, that they've always been able to create and to reinvent themselves, even if it's something that they haven't done lately. And so I think starting with that reminder and saying, wait a second, okay, whatever happens next, like, I'm going to be okay because I trust myself. I've built, you know, within my family, good relationships. Like, there's a little bit of self-trust. Mm. The second thing that has really helped the leaders I work with is for them to consider what are the magnets that are taking their internal compass off course right now. And this metaphor of the magnets and saying, wait, am I doing things that I want to, or because I still have this deep-seated desire to be liked, and liked by kind of the wrong people, it turns out.
Yeah.
Or do I have this deep-seated desire to be earning X amount of money because I'm trying to continue to prove my worth, but maybe I don't have to make X amount of money to live in the way that I truly want to live. And especially for the men that I work with, like thinking of these magnets and going deep into their history and saying, wait, okay, let me strip this away and say, who am I without any of these things? What is my character? What is my soul excellence? It just brings back a moment of confidence and clarity. And then I think the third thing, and this is really the start of this journey, because I see what's happening in the world too, the silencing of voices, cancel culture, people being fired for not having the in-group opinion. I mean, it is truly horrifying. And I feel like I lived in the belly of the beast in San Francisco in terms of it's, despite its marketing, it's a very conforming city. And I felt that deeply. But I want soul excellence and this reminder of our individual desires and that our values, and starting to create relationships based on values and not just like, oh, we went to the same school, we work at the same company, but building relationships based on values, I feel like is one of the antidotes. And I feel like soul excellence, my big expansive dream is to create a new generation of soul excellence leaders to be the antidote to what I'm seeing in the culture right now, which is, it's very intellectual and reason. It's very anti-individuals having their own preferences, which, like, shocker, we all like different things. And it's very against allowing us to live freely and happily in a way that we want. And I think if we all stopped for a minute and said, what is the world that we want to live in? It's one where we each can pursue what we desire. And so I think I really think we're nearing a tipping point, though, where we can see what's happening. We are fed up with it, but it is going to take leaders in current positions of power to also step up. And, I'm someone who I'm like, I want to spread this message, but I also want it to be embodied by those who do have that platform and can say, wait a second, let's look where this is headed. Like, we're not creating a better world right now. We're actually regressing. And, for someone like me who really cares about, courage and truth and growth and knowledge and learning, like, this really, really scares me. But I'm also not too pessimistic. There is this pessimism that, it's understandable why it's permeating right now, but having some faith that, once people start to awaken to their own greatness and start to expect from others, like, hey, treat me as a person. Like, it's the simplest of lessons, but treat me as a person. And, if we share values and, like, have things in common, we'll be friends. If we're not, then we won't. Like, it's okay. So I don't have the perfect answer, but releasing those magnets, tapping into our own soul excellence, meeting with like-minded people who want to make this change in the world, I think is a good start. But it's going to take a lot of courage, and it's courage that I, daily feel like I have to summon and embrace and be okay with, the good and the bad that comes from.
It's so true. And I think that courage is a big part of it. It's having the courage to kind of let the chips fall where they may, right? And sometimes there is a messy part, but it will shake out. Yeah.
It kind of goes back to that. I feel like a soul aligned achievement is one that is so big that you don't necessarily know the outcome. It is a bit more uncertain. It does require a leap of faith, but when you can tap into a more expansive possibility, who you become in the process, that your own version of soul excellence that you get to express in the process. If you're someone like you or someone like me who cares about growth and about being here on this planet, then it's an attractive way to be, even though it's a little less guaranteed, I suppose.
Yes. Yeah, it's true. It's about letting go of some of those guarantees. And even like you said, that I'm finding myself, even though I keep looking at what I know and what I can do with my eyes closed and what I've done a million times, the biggest part of me goes, that's not where it's at. It's not where it's at. And so we really are standing at this place where, how courageous can I be? How much uncertainty can I face? How, like you said, how willing am I to not win the popularity contest, but really be true to my compass here?
And, that you used the word rebel earlier, and it came up in a conversation yesterday. And I laughed because I have never been a rebel, like the rule follower, like the straight A student. Like, I wanted to conform in the context of like being the best and being the teacher's pet and being the student council president, and like releasing that. I haven't fully embraced the rebel role yet, but just saying like, no, I want to be Kayleigh, and I'm so much more than like what I was allowing myself to be throughout all of those individual roles. But there's still that piece of like, wanting to be liked. And so having to step back and say, be liked for what reason? Be liked by whom? And now the question really is, I think to say and do some of the most courageous things, being liked is just not compatible with that goal. And so just how do you release that entirely and say, no, me expressing me is the goal, and it will attract, it will repel. So I guess you made me want to embrace even more of my rebel side that, here much later in life, I never rebelled as a teenager, but I feel like I'm doing it now.
Exactly. I love it. I love it. Well, how can people connect with you?
Yeah, the best way is to go to my website. It's KayleighO'Keefe.com, KayleigH. And right from there, you'll be able to take the Soul Excellence Leadership Archetype quiz, gain some insight into how you naturally lead, and then start to learn, as I shared here, how do you call forth these other archetypes to be more you? And I think to this point of courage, to feel a bit more grounded and courageous with what you want to do next. So just visit the website. It's all there. And yeah, I would absolutely love to see you all there.
Awesome. I love what you're up to. Yeah. I mean, talk about timely. So needed. I'm glad you got off that midnight Slack conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. I just needed that extra, like, nope. Stay the course.
We all do it from time to time. Like, oh yeah, I only remembered the good parts. I forgot about those things. Yeah. So true.
Thank you, Adriana. This was great.
Absolutely. I want to remind everyone to pick up their copy of Awakening. Make sure you go to Kayleigh's chapter. I feel like this is really when leadership is important. This is not the time to back down. This is not the time to say, well, somebody else is going to pick it up. No. Where can I lead? Even if it's in my own family, in my own community, where can I lead? So key. And if you would like to be in our next book, Visionary, I'll put the link to the application below. Amazing. Keep leading. Non-conformity is where it's at, right? Express yourself and make sure that you like who you are at the end of the day. That's the most important thing. Until next time, big hugs from Colorado. I'll talk to you soon.